This is the Louie T Network.
Then my team was 6-10, and we ain't smell the playoffs. Then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 2018 NFL playoffs coverage here on the Louie T Network, where your man Louie T has you covered, wall-to-wall coverage of the National Football League's 2018 postseason. Damn. What a finish. What a game. And let me first say to Saints fans, my heart goes out to you. I generally don't apologize and try to sympathize and empathize and show any kind of emotion towards any other fan base. Because it's football, it's sports in general. It's sports. So I'm not going to, oh man, I feel so bad for you. I don't give a shit. Sports. It happens. But that right there, as a sports fan, as a football fan, more importantly, I'm not a Saints fan. But I felt like I had my heart ripped out of my chest. Now, I was happy for the Vikings because, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a hater. If you haven't watched me before, I've admitted this. I'm a hater. And I didn't want to see a team play a home game in the Super Bowl. I didn't want to see that before watching this game. I was against the Vikings moving on in the postseason. But after the first half and watching how much fun, the freeze tag, after watching these guys have fun, I said, man, I can't deny these dudes. I like them. I like them too much. I want them to go to the Super Bowl. I want them to win. I'm now rooting for the Vikings moving forward. But I thought their time was up. And I said it's only fitting because the Vikings create new ways to lose. And they showed you all the different flashbacks of games they've blown in the postseason. I don't need to chronicle them here. One is near and dear to my heart. So I thought their time was up. And they had said during the telecast, no team that had a chance to play a Super Bowl had gotten through to the championship game. Every team's journey ended in the divisional round. No team had gotten past the divisional round. Out of the 8 teams, I believe they said that it was. So I said, damn, looks like they fell victim to that same stat. And then that play happens. And I can honestly say, I feel for Saints fans. You're not going to hear me say that very often because, again, I don't give a damn about your misfortunes. I don't care about anybody else's. Unless you're a Redskins fan, I don't care about anybody else's misfortunes. It's sports. It happens. But you simply just had your heart ripped out of your chest, stepped on, right in front of your face. That's about as tough a loss as I've ever seen. Ever seen. They don't get much worse than that because all your rookie, Marcus Williams, had to do was grab his legs. He would have fell down inbounds, game over. And one of the things I said about Marcus Williams coming in to the draft out of Utah, I don't love him as a tackler. He doesn't wrap up. He doesn't see what he hits. He saw nothing on that play other than Stephon Diggs going up. I'm going to duck my head, not see what I'm hitting, and hope I hit some legs. Well, he missed. And so did the Saints' opportunity to go to the NFC Championship game. That hurts. That's rough. And for that, I send my condolences. That being said, Vikings fans, celebrate! Skol! 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 You go into the NFC Championship game where you're going to have a field day with Nicholas Foles. They might have a field day with Case Keenum. That's going to be fun to watch. Because neither one of those teams has a quarterback that anybody's looking forward to seeing play in the Super Bowl. But I must say, Case Keenum went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees, and he came out on top. So credit must be given to Case Keenum. But you know what I thought going into this game? This is my last sentiment before we get to the breakdown. You know what I said? Earlier, that Jags-Steelers game felt like it was untouchable. It was, you couldn't top it. You know what it felt like to me? It felt like the Rose Bowl. Georgia and Oklahoma, high-scoring affair, back and forth, edge-of-your-seat thriller. And then after it, we got a dud. Clemson and Alabama. And you just say, man, after being served up that gym, they're going to give us this garbage to wrap up our night. And that's what I felt like with this game. When I sat down, it was 17-0. And I'm like, they're gonna wrap up the day with this stinker after giving us that gem of a game earlier. Sort of like the Rose Bowl and the Clemson game afterwards. Boy, this one turned out to be a damn gem. And boy, was this a good one. And lots to discuss. But before we do, it was a rough week. I almost was under 500. I thought I was 1-3. I really thought I was about to lose this game. But Stephon Diggs and Case Keenum would not be denied. And because of that fact, Joe, let them know. Vikings, you going to the NFC Championship game. Let's talk about how, as we break down this tremendous finish, this thriller here in the divisional round. Vikings moving on 29-24 with one of the most thrilling finishes you will ever see in an NFL playoff game. So we'll start with the Vikings on defense because in the first half, they were phenomenal. They were the defense we've seen all season long. And for the most part, it's what I think I expected going into the game. I've talked about how we've seen clashes between great defense, great offense. I think the last time we saw it in the postseason where it was great offense versus great defense, and it was billed as such, was probably the 2013 Super Bowl between Peyton Manning and the highest scoring offense. Was that 2013? I believe it was 2013. The highest scoring offense in the league versus the best defense in Seattle, and we saw who won that matchup. That's generally how it goes, too. Great defense always trumps great offense. It just does. And I thought that's what we were going to see after the first half, 17-0. I knew not to count the Saints out because the Vikings don't score a boatload of points. And they weren't going to go away meekly and quietly into the night, were the Saints. They weren't going to do that. And how many comebacks have we seen this postseason? We've seen a ton. We've seen games that looked like they were heading for a crash course for a blowout. And then we've seen teams come back, make it a ball game, fall short, as in the case of Pittsburgh. We've seen teams rally back and come all the way back and win, as in the case with the Titans. So I knew not to count the Saints out, but I didn't expect them to come all the way back. And they made a ton of plays in this game to bring them back. But the defense of the Vikings, I thought, in the second half, they weren't sharp. Missed assignments, guys getting beat. Not a ton of pressure on Drew Brees like you did in the first half. Michael Thomas, look, my man Nick at Night, Showtime, always tells me, roads closed. Speaking of Xavier Rhodes, first team, all-pro Xavier Rhodes. Roads closed. Well, that's fine. I'll just take the Thomas detour. That's fine. I'll just take the Thomas detour. It's good. It's all good. And Michael Thomas was digging in his ass in the second half. 2 touchdowns. They were talking shit. Man, was that a fun matchup. It ain't nothing better than a quarterback that's not scared, man. Drew Brees is like, hey, look, man, I know you were all pro. I know you're really good. I just don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm Drew Brees. I don't care. I love it because most teams, they're scared. They don't want to go after the other team's Pro Bowl or, in this case, all-pro corner. No, you're going to run. That's why it was fun to watch Ben earlier because he didn't care. Whoever was checking Antonio Brown was going to get it. I don't care. That's my guy. I'm throwing the football to my guy. I'm going to lose throwing the ball to my guy. I don't care who's covering him. I don't care. And so that was fun to watch. And Thomas was getting the better of that matchup in the second half. And you saw some mistakes. You saw guys go down in the second half of the game. Rhodes temporarily went down, did come back into the game. Shamar Stephen left the game. I don't think he returned. He left in the first half. Kendricks went down late in the first half. He did return to the game, though. But we saw some dudes. Sendejo left, did not return. And I know a lot of Vikings fans give Andrew Sendejo a lot of flack, but I'm telling you, shit goes wrong when Andrew's not in the game. It just does. And I thought a lot of what you saw in the second half, no Andrew Sendejo. He had a big pick in the first half. I love Andrew Sendejo. And I'm a little biased, but I love Andrew Sendejo. And I love the way he plays the game. No, he's not the most athletically gifted, but he's where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. And so they had some injuries in the second half. Don't care. Don't want to hear it. Saints made plays. And the defense made some plays. But this Vikings defense wasn't its sharpest in the second half. And when you needed a stop, you were supposed to come up. This shouldn't have come down to a miracle finish. Joe Buck said it best. I thought he summed it up perfectly. Both teams are right where they want to be. Both teams are right where they want to be. Scores 23-21. Vikings got their defense on the field, the number 1 rated defense on the field. Saints have number 9 at quarterback on the field with a chance to win the game. This is what both teams want. Who's going to win? You know who won that battle? The Saints. So I was really disappointed in the Vikings in the second half because you had a chance. You were supposed to win the game on defense. Your defense is so good, right? Go win the game. Right now. They need 3 points. They're at the 25-yard line. Go win the game right now. You didn't do it. Luckily enough for you, and like I said with the Jaguars earlier, you're not going to always have your fastball. It's always good to have an offense that can pull your ass out of a jam. Sometimes you're going to need, that's why football is the ultimate team sport, because sometimes you're going to need another side of the football. Special teams, offense, doesn't matter. You're going to need another side of the football to pull your weight sometimes, to pick up your slack. And in this particular game, because most times in the regular season for the Vikings, those 23 points, more than enough. Especially at home, more than enough. Oh, we good. Don't worry about it. But that wasn't the case today. And so the offense had to go back after spotting you a 17-point lead, which you promptly, along with special teams, getting a punt block, you promptly blew. Now, again, offense had a little bit to do with that. Case Keenum did throw a reckless interception. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But you still gave up 21 points, including 24, including 17 in the fourth frame. That's not championship football. That's not number 1 defense in the league football. And again, I get it. Mistakes were made. Not all your fault. But these weren't returned for touchdowns. You still had a chance to come on the field and force a field goal. You didn't have to give up a touchdown to Alvin Kamara. That was some good defense. But he made a play. Same thing I said about the Jaguars defense. They weren't their best, but they were good enough to get it done. They made the plays when they had to make them. You, on the other hand, not so much. The only thing I can say is when you needed to stop late in the game on that 3rd and 1, a crucial 3rd and 1, because if you don't get the stop there, they get the first down. Now they get to run out the clock and kick the field goal, and it's a walk-off field goal. They make it, they win, the game's over. You get the stop there, and that was a vital, crucial stop. because it gave you a chance to burn a timeout, save one, and keep 30 seconds on the clock to give you a chance to win the game. And you ultimately did win the game. But that first half, that's lights out football. That's the Vikings defense I know. The Saints were 0 for, it seemed like, on third downs, or at least they were one of about 7 or 8 in the first half. Shut them down, totally. 0 points. You heard this, the stat they threw out. In over 230 some odd games as Saints quarterback, Drew Brees has only went scoreless in the first half 4 times. 5 now after today. And you turn around and give up 17 in the fourth quarter. Un-Vikings-like. But you got it done. Why did you get it done? Let's talk about why. This offense. Which we didn't think we would be talking about as the savior for this Vikings football team heading into the championship game. But once again, we find ourselves talking about Case Keenum and his passing game and Pat Shurmur, who is going to get a job. And rumors are that wherever Pat Shurmur goes, he's going to try to take Case Keenum with him. Doesn't sound like a bad idea to me. Now, the Vikings control that, obviously. They don't want to let Case Keenum go. They could always slap the franchise tag. But is Case Keenum worth franchise tag money? I mean, seriously, what is the franchise tag up to now? Like $24 million? Are you really going to pay Case Keenum $24 million in 1 year? Look, if you got to do what you got to do. But we can talk about that in the offseason. Case Keenum was outstanding in the first half of this game. Led the Vikings to a 17-0 lead, which felt insurmountable with the way the Vikings were playing defense. And then Case Keenum showed us why he's Case Keenum. Just briefly. It wasn't like he went off on this Case Keenum tangent where he was like, I'm back. Did you miss me? No, he didn't do that. But he did roll out, throw up an ill-advised throw. And this is what Case Keenum does. Case Keenum will throw some balls up for grabs. That one, the Thielen that he threw late in the ball game, when you were looking for the go-ahead score, when you were trailing in the game, 21-20. That's a hell of a throw, but it's also a risky throw. That's Case Keenum, though. That throw across his body to Diggs down in the red zone, that's risky business. It's also Case Keenum. But that throw that was picked off by Marcus Williams, he went from hero to GOAT quickly. It's a bad decision. Risky throw. That one came back to bite you. As that quickly turned from Saints touchdown 17-7 to Saints touchdown 17-14. All of a sudden, they're right back in this ball game. That quick because of a mistake that you made. Love to see the defense come out, force them to kick a field goal. They weren't in field goal mode at that time. They were in the mode of giving up touchdowns, specifically to Michael Thomas at that point. So that's what you get with Case Keenum. You put pressure on him, he will throw some balls up for grabs. Some good, some bad. Got to take the good with the bad. But for the most part, Case Keenum went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees. Both went 25 of 40. Both threw for over 300 yards. Wait! Case Keenum threw for over 300 yards. Drew Brees did not. However, of course, 61 of those yards came on the last-ditch throw to Stephon Diggs that shouldn't have been, but was. Doesn't matter. He made the throw. They made the play. They get the win. I thought they ran the ball well. I thought that they had a really good mixture of guys touching the rock, did the Vikings. Everyone on the field just about got involved. Rudolph had a touch or two in this game. Jarius Wright got involved early on a wheel route up the sidelines. Beautiful throw there by Case Keenum in between the corner and the safety on that one. We saw Diggs, obviously, with the biggest play of the game. Thielen made a huge catch late, but he was active throughout the game, making some big plays. We saw the running backs get involved. The secret weapon, don't tell nobody about Jerick McKinnon with the first touchdown of the game. Thought he was a guy that did some good things in this game as well. And then Latavius Murray, the L train. I thought he did some good things on the ground. I thought they had a steady balance. It wasn't the greatest rushing game for Murray, but I thought it allowed the Vikings to stay balanced in this game. And he ran hard and tough. He was physical, especially down by the goal line, getting in for a touchdown. I just love the balance that the Vikings showed on the offensive side of the football in this game. And they made the plays when they had to make them. It was a rough second half for them. After putting up 17 and well on their way to a blowout, the Saints got pressure on them. And we'll talk about that when we get to the Saints defensively. But they put pressure on Case Keenum in the second half. They harassed him. And the run game went down. Case Keenum started to be a little bit inaccurate. But more importantly, he didn't have chances to throw the football, step up into a clean pocket, and deliver the ball. And the tide turned. And it's tough when you were leading the entire game and now are trailing 21-20 late and need a field goal, and you go down and get it, and then turn around and the defense, which is vaunted and heralded and this and that, gives it right back up and only gives you 30 seconds to go back and try to go get the win. It's rough. But Case Keenum got back onto the field, threw a quick strike to, I want to say it might have been Thielen, might have been Diggs. Either way, it was Diggs because they were wrestling with him and they didn't want to let him go. Called a timeout, and you put yourself in a situation where you had a chance. And that's all you can ask for at this point is a chance. And then you get the miracle finish. I was stunned. And I know Vikings fans, that's got to be some of the, and look, I need you as Vikings fans out there to taper your excitement. No, be excited today. But this wasn't the Super Bowl. And this probably is the most excited Vikings fans have ever been. Right? I mean, that kind of win, that's something you'll remember for the rest of your life. You'll remember where you were, how old you were, what you were doing, all of that. Hell, as a football fan, I'll remember all of those things. Like, that's not a play you'll ever, that'll be etched in the minds of football fans for the rest of their life. That kind of finish is so unique, especially in the postseason. You don't see things like that happen. A lot of things have to come together at once for something like that to occur. That's mind-blowing. Also, it's fun to watch. And so now, this Vikings team feels like a team of destiny. I don't know if you have that same vibe. I have that vibe now. This feels like destiny. Because now the only team standing in your way between having a home Super Bowl is the Philadelphia Eagles led by Nicholas Foles. Let me repeat that. The only team standing in your way of playing a home game in the Super Bowl is the Philadelphia Eagles led by Nicholas Foles. You just did the hard part to me. Now, the Eagles aren't a pushover. They're not going to lay down and allow you to come into their building and go to the Super Bowl. But it's Nicholas Foles. And for as good as he played in the second half, he's Nicholas Foles. And the Eagles are saying the same thing about Case Keenum. He's Case Keenum. Okay? So this is going to be fun to watch. But I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it once more. Vikings fans, celebrate! You're going to the NFC Championship game in the most improbable fashion I've seen. Maybe ever. That's just a crazy finish. Saints fans, and I'm probably not talking to many Saints fans right now because that's as hurt head of a loss you can have. That's as bad as it gets. Literally to have victory in your mouth. This victory tastes so sweet. Sweet! Give me some more victory, man. I won't put it all in my mouth. I'm giving me more victory. And then had a Viking say, give me that victory, man. That's mine. That's my victory. I'm going to the NFC Championship game. Give me that. That's tough. That's tough. And I had a Saints fan tell me he's gonna. And he first of all he was acting as if I was a Vikings fan. I'm not a Vikings fan, so I don't care. I'm a football fan. I'm objective here. I could care less. I just want to see good football. And this is a great game. This is a great Sunday. So I had a Saints fan tell me, I'm going to come back and laugh at you when the Saints win. Okay. That was wrong. That was unnecessary. I apologize. Anyway, God, this one stings, boy. Ay, ay, ay. Yikes. Where do I start? I don't like Sean Payton. Sean Payton's an asshole. Did y'all realize that? See, I didn't realize Sean Payton was as big an asshole as he really is. Sean Payton's an asshole. I like his competitive spirit, though. But he takes it too far. I saw him telling Devontae Freeman that he chokes and, and I've seen him go a little too far with some players on the field and going after guys and attacking referees. Sean Payton's a little off. And after they made the field goal, he was, boom, boom. He looked at the crowd and he looking at the crowd behind their bench, boom, boom. And I could hear him and I could see him and I'm like, bro, it's 30 seconds left. You didn't win the game. That wasn't a walk-off field goal. Anyway, let's start with the defense. We got to come back and talk about this Saints offense. Let's talk about defense because this Saints defense has come a long way. I mean, this used to be one of the laughingstock defenses of the league. In just a short offseason, essentially, they've went from worst in the league to one of the better defenses. They're not there yet, but they're on the come. They're on the cusp. And they played well in this game. After the slow start, down 17-0, they could have tucked their heads between their tails and went back to New Orleans and said, hey, we gave it a run. But they're just better than us. But they didn't do that. And I thought the comeback in this game was started defensively by this Saints defense. I thought they were the catalyst for the change that we saw in the second half of this game. They came out, they got stops. They got to Case Keenum, and I thought that was the most important part, was they got to Case Keenum. They didn't allow the Vikings to run the football in the second half. So it put the pressure and the onus on Case Keenum to make plays, to convert 3rd and 9, to convert 3rd and 8 instead of 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 2. It put them in some situations where Case Keenum had to win from the pocket, and they were flushing him. Sheldon Rankins was outstanding. Cam Jordan is going to show up and make plays. And so I was impressed with the defense in the second half of this game. In the first half, Vikings were doing just what they wanted. It seemed like for both teams it was a role reversal. The Vikings were outstanding in the first half. The pick by Anthony Barr off of the deflection by Everson Griffin. You've got the forced fumble by Everson Griffin in the first half. Luckily, they didn't recover that. The Saints could have been in some trouble there down. I think they were already down 17-0 at the time. They recovered that fumble. Game's over. You had the pick by Sendejo, which was just gorgeous, to go up and high point the football. The Vikings were balling defensively in the first half. Saints did the same thing in the second half. You get the Marcus Williams interception. You get pressure on Keenum. Sheldon Rankins almost took his head off on a sack. I mean, they were there in his grill. They were on Case Keenum's ass. He was uncomfortable. He started making mistakes. He started to see more defenders, less of the field. He was throwing balls up for grabs. You had him right where you wanted him. Then the special team said, hey, let me get a piece of that action, man. Let me get a block. George Johnson. And they showed Taysom Hill like he got the block. They showed Taysom Hill like 20 times. I know it's a cute story, third-string quarterback playing special teams. And I like Taysom Hill, by the way, out of BYU. I actually thought he was going to be a lot better than he was in his collegiate career. Injuries beset him, but he's got a shot to be the man in New Orleans down the road. But he didn't block the damn kick. Show George Johnson 15 times. Anyway, special teams said, let me get in on this, man. Let me get a piece of this action. Some sweet action right now. Defense done got a pick. After the offense revved it up, finally scored a touchdown. Michael Thomas getting into it with Xavier Rhodes, and he scored a touchdown on him. Let me get in on this action. Defense then got a pick and led to another Michael Thomas touchdown. I want in. What I got to do? Got to block a punt? All right, I'm in. Block punt. Next thing you know, they're in the end zone again. And just like that, we got ourselves a ball game, folks. Saints take the lead. Vikings get the football back. And this is where I said, all right, Saints D, you want to prove you legit? Get them off the field. You're up 21-20. Get them off the field. Nah, can't do that. All right, cool. Don't worry about it. The defense doesn't get off the field. They give up the field goal. Then the offense says, hey, don't worry. We got you. They get a field goal back, give you back the lead. All right, defense. Offense did it again. They got you the lead. All you got to do is not let them get in the field goal range. They got one timeout, and they only got 25 seconds. Can you do that? Nah, not quite. Not exactly. Damn it, Marcus Williams. And I like you, and I think you're going to have a great career. That one stings, though. And I just hope that one doesn't haunt you for the rest of your life. It probably will. The only thing that can erase that is if you win the Super Bowl at some point in your career. But that one will always be the one that got away for you. That one stinks. All you had to do was see what you hit. See what you hit. Young kids at home, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't duck your head and miss the target altogether. Don't do that. Head up, see what you hit. All you had to do was grab him. Legs, waist, back, whatever. Any kind of contact with Stephon Diggs. He was down in bounds. Game was over. He did the one thing he couldn't afford to do in that situation. Submarine, tank, and miss. In any event, defensively, you were solid. But I told you the magic number in this game was 19, and you didn't follow directions. And for that, I had to slap you on your wrist. I said, don't give up more than 19 and you win. I guarantee it. If you'd have followed directions, you would have won the game. Hell, if you would have just made a tackle at the end, you would have won the game. But that's nor here nor there. Let's get to the offense. Because in the first half, it was rough. And even though you moved it a little bit, you struggled. And Breeze had 2 picks in the first half. Sendejo, and Ginn was open. And that was just a beautiful play by Sendejo. Got to give credit where credit is due. On the other pick, damn, that was just it by happenstance. Everson Griffin didn't even see the ball coming out. His back was turned to Drew Brees. He just said, hey, I ain't going to get there. What they teach you to do? You ain't going to get to the quarterback? Throw your hands up. Nah, stop that. Put your hands down. Nah, put your hands up. Nah, I'm going to deflect that. Ball in the air, Anthony Barr. Lucky he didn't go to the crib with that. But in any event, after the first half, you went to the halftime break, you made some adjustments, and I thought you played fearless football. I thought you played tight and scared in the first half offensively. Like, I don't want to make a mistake, but you made mistakes. Because when you try not to make mistakes, you make mistakes. You ever tried not to make noise at home? Like maybe mom is sleeping. Maybe the baby's asleep. And you try to walk quietly. You try to shut the door quietly. And everything you do makes more noise. Felt like you were trying to be too careful in the first half. I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want to throw it at Xavier Rhodes. I don't want to make him mad. So I thought to Ted Ginn. Well, pick. Second half, you threw caution to the wind. Hell, we down 17-0. We ain't come this far to just get blown out. We ain't got nothing to lose. Let's just let it all hang out. And all of a sudden, Alvin Kamara started getting the football like he should. All of a sudden, Michael Thomas got his targets like he should, as a number 1 receiver in this league should get his touches, regardless of who's covering him. And all of a sudden, Ted Ginn Jr. is looking like a bona fide baller, Teddy Ball game, showing up. Willie Snead making some grabs. God damn it, Willie. Willie missed one to Kamara out of the backfield. Damn it, man. And Sean been waiting to pull that one out of his hat, boy. He been waiting. He said, I'm saving this 3rd and 1 special, this gem, for the right time. And that was the right time because they had him. Old high school quarterback had him. And Willie couldn't hurt him. Damn it, man. In any event, the offense gave you a shot. I was proud of the offensive performance. This was more of along the lines of what I expected from the jump. And you did everything you could to try to win this game in the second half. And you had it. You had it. Hats off to the offense. I don't have any complaints. Michael Thomas balled in it. That's my boy. That's my dog. Michael Thomas, he can ride with me anywhere, man. Get in. Put your seatbelt on. He can ride with me anywhere, man. That's my guy. Because he took it to Xavier Rhodes' ass in this game. And I don't want to hear no excuse. Oh, he was banging. I don't want to hear shit. Because if he would have shut him down, all we would have heard was Rhodes close. Well, like I said, I'm taking the Thomas detour. Don't worry about it. And Ted Ginn was balling today, too. And they got Josh Hill involved again. That was a beautiful screen. God damn it. Calamete, block somebody. You gonna let Andrew Sendejo come around you? Block some goddamn body. In any event, damn, I hated the fact that Brandon Coleman wasn't active today. Told you he's an X factor. But it's no here nor there. Bottom line is you did enough. 17 points in the frame that matters most. You were game and you were ready to win. Problem was the defense wasn't. And although they played much better in the second half, you gave them not one, but two chances to put this game away, and they failed you. Not once, but twice. Hell, even special teams said, let me get in. They even chipped in. And the defense let you down. Not once, but twice. You had them at 21-20. They let Case Keenum take them down the field and get into field goal range for Kai Forbath, who banged home a 53-yard. That was a big kick by Kai Forbath. After both kickers had missed from long distances in this game. But then Drew Brees said, hey, don't worry, I'm Drew Brees. I'm a future Hall of Famer for a reason. First ballot. Don't you forget it. I'm going to take these boys down here and get a field goal. 24-23. Sean Payton says, boom! 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 Game over, right? Right? Wrong. Ask Marcus Williams, is the game over? He'll tell you. Offense did enough, though. Boy, that's a tough way to lose. Damn it, man. Got to be more careful. Vikings move on to the NFC Championship game. 29-24 with the most improbable, thrilling finish you will ever see. If you haven't seen it, treat yourself to the last 4 minutes of that game because it was back and forth. Field goal to take the lead, field goal to take the lead, touchdown for the game. Damn. That was some compelling football down the stretch. Let's get to your comments, man. Wow. That was a big one. All right. Let's see what we got. I already see my girl Rebe looking like, hey, stop disrespecting us. I hear you, Rebe. I hear you loud and clear, girl. First name, last name says, let's go. Yeah, man. That was awesome. Cloud says, I know you pissed about that last play because that cost the Saints the game. I'm not. It didn't make me one bit of difference. At first, I wasn't rooting for the Vikings. But like I said, they're having so much fun, man. And I used to have a soft spot for the Vikings back in the day when they had Robert Smith and Randy Moss and Jake Reed and John Randall and Dwayne Rudd and all of those guys. I had a soft spot for those dudes, man. I really did. Dennis Green was my guy. Yeah. Todd Stussy. Man, I could sit here and talk about Vikings football like I was a Vikings fan, man. But in any event, I'm on the bandwagon, man. I'm on the Vikings bandwagon now. That freeze tag, that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about, man. Case Keenum like this. The offensive lineman like this. It was awesome, man. Only person that I'm mad at is Riley Reif because Riley Reif said, I ain't playing with y'all, man. I ain't doing that shit. He was the first one tagged, and Riley Reif looked at him like, why you touching me, man? He ran off the field. Riley Reif said, I ain't did that shit with y'all, man. But that was great. Matthew Lynch says, my heart goes out to Drew. And that's rough, man. Drew looked like he was stunned. Utter disbelief at what just took place. And I really think that was karma for his coach. Drew didn't do nothing wrong. That was all for Sean Payton, man. Sean Payton's an asshole. And I think Sean had to get it. And the football guys had to let him know. And we don't respect what you be over there doing to opposition players. You know, Sean be talking some mean shit over there, man. Like, real talk. You run over there to the sideline, and Sean the type of coach, you run into him, and you getting a forearm shiver. Straight to the neck. And he trying to act like he was trying to hold you up, you know, stop the momentum and stuff. But really, he was trying to get a cheap shot in there. And I think the football guys had to rain down on him and let him know. It's not how we do things, man. That's not how you conduct yourself as an NFL coach. And so that whole, you know, throat thing and against the Falcons and all the trash talk that we heard from other players coming from Sean Payton, he had to pay. You saw the broom dancing in the locker room. Look, I love it, though. That's behind closed doors, but you know it's going to get out because of social media. But anyway, man, what a finish. Cloud says, Vikings got steals, both Diggs and Thielen. They did. That's how you build a winning organization. You know, that's how you build. And I've always said that Rick Spielman does it the right way. He's you know, I know Vikings fans sometimes get upset with him because he doesn't spend a ton of money in free agency. He doesn't go out on the streets and get other people's stuff. They did it last offseason out of necessity along the offensive line. But for the most part, they don't spend a lot of money on free agents. They do it the right way, though. He's always said, my business model through the draft with young football players. And that's how you keep yourself out of the red in terms of your salary cap, is by having a bunch of low-cost, cheap players from the draft that are young on their first contracts. You pick out the ones that deserve a second contract, and you let the rest of them walk, and you just keep doing that cycle over and over again. And he's done a great job. And it's nothing better than getting a fifth-round receiver in Diggs and an undrafted guy in Thielen to come in and ball for you. That's how you win, man. That's how winning organizations do that. Pepe, the YouTuber, says, Marcus Williams better not go nowhere near New Orleans unless he wants to get murdered. Nah, he good, man. He's gonna get some. He may get a couple of death threats. I don't know if this was a death threat type of game, but he's gonna get some really harsh words from fans over the next probably month, because it's not gonna stop until after the Super Bowl. Especially if the NFC team wins, Saints fans are gonna be like, that should have been us. If the Vikings go on to win the Super Bowl, Saints fans are gonna be like, that should have been us. And they're going to look right at Marcus Williams. And every time they see the Vikings hoisting the Lombardi, they're going to think of Marcus Williams and say that should have been our trophy. So this is going to be something he can't live down. But he's a young player. He's a rookie. A lot of career left for him. I just hope this doesn't become the signature moment, the infamous moment, if you will, of his career. I hope that doesn't come to define him. Sort of like kicker Steve Christie for the Bills. Was an excellent kicker. So was Norwood. Norwood was a great kicker. But their misses came to define them in Bills lore. And you hate to see that. Because Scott Norwood was a hell of a kicker before he missed that kick versus the Giants. And I hope that's not the case for, now again, that was in the Super Bowl. This was in the NFC Divisional round. That was the Super Bowl. But you got to like the Saints' chances on the road versus the Eagles next week, don't you? So that's a rough one. Lil Lion says, my heart got ran over. I bet, man. I look, bruh, I get it, man. That's rough. John Perez says, holy hell, what a finish and a great day for football. Rooting for a Jags versus Vikings Super Bowl. A lot of people are rooting for that exact Super Bowl. And if you get Case Keenum versus Blake Bortles, my goodness, I don't know what the NFL is going to do in marketing that game, but at least they can say someone's going to win a Super Bowl that's never won a Super Bowl before. But again, I just don't see the Jaguars beating the Patriots. I don't. But it can happen. Vegeta's Dark Side says, tough break for the Saints, but what an ending. Time to celebrate as a Vikings fan. And you go ahead and you celebrate, man. Skol! Go out there and celebrate, man. Stephen M says, we the North. Woo! Let's go. Skol, baby. Hey, man, y'all enjoy this, man. Do it up. But don't forget, you got another one next week. All right, and we did the same thing last week after the Falcons won. We dismissed the Eagles. We sat right here on this very program. I was in this very seat dismissing the Eagles, and the Eagles are sitting at home waiting on the Vikings to show up next week. So But I don't think Vikings fans are as cocky as the Falcons fans were last week. I had to talk them into having sense and not dismissing the Eagles. If you're going to let somebody dismiss the Eagles, let that be me. I don't have a dog in the fight. Evil Warrior says, Saints heart ripped out and stepped on. Tastes delicious. Archangel says, Jesus, take the wheel. Wow, what a game. Sean Mack says, Nick is never going to shut the hell up now. I don't think Nick is here, but if he were, you know Nick is going nuts, wherever he is. Shout out to my man, Nick. Cloud says, I'm not going to lie, next week's game against the Vikings will have both fan bases' hearts having heart attacks. Yeah, because this is a trip to the Super Bowl. Neither one of those teams have won a Super Bowl. The Vikings have had heartbreak after heartbreak when it comes to the Super Bowl, or at least getting there. You got to go all the way back to the Fran Tarkenton days in terms of them getting to the Super Bowl and being good enough to win it. Then, then the 98 team, which was one that I held near and dear to my heart, that didn't quite make it, that should have been there. And that was going to set up an epic Broncos-Vikings Super Bowl. But nonetheless, the Eagles, same position. They've been there, never won it. They got to go back to the 80s with Dick Vermeil to see where they had a shot to win it against the Raiders in 80. They didn't get it done then. Then you got to go fast forward all the way to Donovan McNabb and T.O. in 2000 and I think that was 2003 when you guys were able to make it because the Patriots went back-to-back 3 out of 4. They started that dynasty. And so it was 2001, 2, and then 4. So I think you guys were the 4 in that equation. So I think Rams and Panthers were the first 2, and then you were the last one. Don't quote me on that. But in any event, neither one of these teams have been in a position this close to the Super Bowl. You can almost taste it. So that's gonna be fun to watch. Atlas says, there you go again with the disrespect to Case Keenum. You're too late on that. Dude is legit. I don't know if he's legit. All I know about Case Keenum is that he's a gamer. Is that he's not afraid. He's not scared. And I respect that about Case Keenum. He ain't no bitch about his. He's willing to make the play that most quarterbacks aren't willing to make. He's willing to take the risk that most quarterbacks aren't willing to take. Now, again, big risk, big reward, but also you can fail and fall flat on your face. And he made a big throw late in this game. But he made some other throws that were really questionable. But he got away with it. But Case Keenum has had a tremendous season, and got to give the man respect. Got to give the man respect. Daniel the GOAT says, these playoff games have been so good. They have been. With the exception of the Titans-Patriots game yesterday. Divisional round weekend was outstanding. 3 out of 4. You can't really ask for it much better than that because you can't expect all 4 games to be gems. 3 out of the 4 were gems. So, I mean, literally down to the last play. Even the Steelers game didn't come down to the last play, but they came down to the last 30 seconds because if they got in the end zone and kicked that onside kick, they had a chance. So, these games were outstanding. Travis B says, who said Case Keenum couldn't lead a comeback? I didn't say that. I just didn't think Case Keenum was capable of getting a team to this point, especially before the season started. Even as the season unfolded, I still doubted Case Keenum. I waited for Case Keenum to reveal the real Case Keenum. Maybe this is the real Case Keenum. And I've said this, and I got to start living by my own words. I've told you a number of times, every player in this league doesn't develop and mature at the same rate. And I think quarterbacks, more so than any other position, get fairly or unfairly, either way you want to view it, get criticized and put into a box faster than any other position in this league. Either you can play or you can't play. And we make those declarations right off the bat. Oh, Jared Goff was garbage last year. Oh, this guy is trash. He wasn't worth the first overall pick in the draft. Oh, my God, he's terrible. And I say, hey, don't do that to him. Give him a chance. I didn't love Jared Goff, but I said that situation with the Rams is dysfunctional. Give him a shot. And I told you when McVay showed up, he was going to change things for him. And what did he do? Jared Goff should win most improved player in the league this year, if Case Keenum doesn't get it. And Case Keenum found a situation that was ideal for him, and he took full advantage, and he hasn't looked back, and he's gonna parlay this into a huge payday. And what will show me if he's serious? Now again, him winning the Super Bowl will show me he's serious, because once you're a Super Bowl quarterback, they can never take that from you. They can make jokes. Oh my God, Trent Dilfer was so terrible. He's got a Super Bowl. Yeah, they can make jokes, but they can never take that chip from you. If he wins a Super Bowl, which will bring joy to the hearts of many Vikings fans, young and old, who have been waiting for this their entire life, he'll be, in their eyes, immortal. Forever etched in stone and lore in Vikings history. But I can tell you this much. If Case Keenum doesn't remain a Viking, and he gets a big payday elsewhere, wherever Pat Shermer goes, he goes with him. Because the Vikings got a big decision to make. I think the decision's already been made. You can't let Case Keenum walk away after what he's done this season, especially after this win. But to hear Mike Zimmer say what he said, by activating Sam Bradford, he said, if we get down big, I'm taking Case Keenum out. Putting in Sam Bradford because he's a better thrower of the football. It lets me know that he's not totally sold on Case Keenum. Even your head coach is like, hey, bruh, you good. This is nice, but we can do better. He's not stupid. But I said all of that to say this. Once he gets this deal, whether you win the Super Bowl this year or not, is irrelevant to me. Once he gets this deal, if he plays well again next season, I'm sold. Because anybody can play well for a year. I saw Robert Griffin III have one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen in the league. What did he do after that? I need to see another year of Jared Goff. But I have confidence that under Sean McVay, he's going to continue to flourish and get better and better. But we've seen, and this is the thing, if Pat Shermer goes, now you got a different play caller. Will Case Keenum play the same way under a new play caller? You don't know. You don't know the answer to that. So I'm not willing to crown his ass. If you want to crown his ass, then crown his ass. I'm not willing to do that yet. But I'm willing to say that I was wrong about him this year. I told you, I'll admit when I'm wrong. I don't have a problem doing that. Archangel says, that was a great game for the love of the game in the playoffs. Man, I love this game. Don't we all? Well said, Archangel. Well said, bruh. Black Al Bundy says, always trust in the skull. Hashtag CK7, hashtag Digsy. What up, Black Al B, man? Congratulations again on the win. That was huge, bruh. Archangel says, I'm glad the Vikes won after Saints. I was waiting on that from you, Arch. I said, damn, all of this praise for the game and everything. I knew the Saints hate was coming, man. I was waiting on it. Sitting on that fastball. It finally came, and I smoked it. Daniel the GOAT says, if only the Falcons would have beaten the Eagles, I feel like they would beat the Vikings. I don't know why. I just don't see any team playing a home playoff game, a home Super Bowl game. I used to be a firm believer in that. Now it's fate that the Vikings are the first team to do it. And after all the struggles they've had in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl with Fran Tarkenton, they probably are the most ideal candidate to be the first to play a home Super Bowl. But they've had so many troubles in this next game that's coming up that I can't even say that it's a shoo-in because they were supposed to beat the Falcons. I'm never going to let that game go. I need to stop. I got to let that go, man. Vikings should win. Archangel says Vikings should win next weekend. They'll be the first team to ever go to the Super Bowl in their own city. Wow. Hey, you did this last week, Ark. I won't allow you to put that same bad juju on the Vikings. I won't allow you to do it. Ed said, me and my brother were glad the Vikings won because we wanted to see the Vikings host the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people are starting to change. You were either on one side of the fence or the other. I was on the I don't want to see it, and they've won me over now, man. They're having fun. I like that. I like the players on that team. I like the Thielen story. I like the Stephon Diggs. I love Stephon Diggs. I loved him at Maryland. I wanted my Redskins to draft him. I think this Case Keenum story is just so cool, man. Like, it's awesome that a dude is coming out of nowhere, and it's finally coming together for him. When nobody believed, he believed. He got an opportunity, and he took advantage of it, and I love the story. And I love Mike Zimmer. I love Zimmer. And so I love Jerick McKinnon. It's hard for me not to root for the Vikings to play in the Super Bowl in Minnesota. John Perez says, the dude who tried to tackle Diggs is going to be hated and despised by Saints fans everywhere. You're talking about Marcus Williams. He's a rookie. It's gonna suck to be Marcus Williams for the next 48 hours. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's going to be rough. And nobody feels worse about that play going down the way it did than him. So it's going to be rough for him. But he'll be all right. Archangel says, but I learned last weekend, don't count the Eagles out. Never wake up a sleeping giant. I'm glad you learned your lesson. Mr. T Money says, perfect football weekend. And, you know, he had to just come in here and troll because the Saints took them out last week. And he just had to come back just to make sure that they didn't go on to the NFC Championship game. And the Falcons lost yesterday to the Eagles, so no NFC South team will be represented in the NFC Championship game. So he just wanted to come back and make sure that business was finished. And it ain't nothing like a family member to hate on the rest of the family. It's the way it should be, though. Buffalo Pregame says, what an amazing day of football. I really thought the Saints had it 100% at the end. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you went to ESPN and the predictor machine, at that point of the game where that completion was made, it was like 98.8% chance that the Vikings or the Saints were going to win the game. Yikes. Daniel the GOAT says, this loss was more devastating than the Falcons Super Bowl choke. I think not. I literally cried for like 2 hours until I slept. Hey, I think this one, the reason the Falcons Super Bowl choke was worse was because it's Super Bowl. But if you're talking about, like, that wasn't heart attack worthy, right? That was, you saw it was like an avalanche coming. Like, you saw the snow coming down the hill and you like run, but your legs were so cold and you were so frozen you couldn't move. And the avalanche just came and hit you and it just buried you. And you got trapped under a bunch of snow. That's how the Falcons lost in the Super Bowl was. It was coming, but you could see it coming. This was sudden. This was like lightning striking you and killing you instantly. Like, you didn't see this coming. You're just walking down the street, doop-de-doop-de-doo. Boom! Game over. Like Final Destination type shit. That's what this was. This is harder to stomach than the Super Bowl loss because the Super Bowl loss, you saw it coming. You could prepare yourself. You didn't want to acknowledge 28-3 was evaporating right before your eyes, but you saw it coming. This was like, we got it. We came back. We won. We lost. Wow. In a manner and fashion that's never supposed to happen. Just a simple tackle in bounds. Hell, just pushing him out of bounds. And you forced their kicker, who I thought was going to miss. If they would have forced Kyle Forbath to come back on to kick a 51-yard field goal, he was going to miss because that's how the Vikings' history has gone with field goals in this situation. He would have missed, but he couldn't even do that right. You're not going to make the tackle in bounds, at least make sure the man goes out of bounds. Damn it, man. Stephen M. says, Vikings D played pretty bad in the whole game, to be honest. They had some plays go their way in the first half. They always struggle coming off of a bye. I didn't think the defense was that bad in the first half. I thought they were active. They were flowing to the football. They got Drew Brees off the spot. I thought they did some good things in the first half. And, yeah, the Saints moved it a little bit, but they weren't as prolific. They had that one drive that the ball was tipped in the air by Everson Griffin and picked off by Anthony Barr. Other than that, they didn't have a lot of drives. Didn't have a lot of success in that first half. So I credit the defense in the first half. I think the Saints were like 0 or 1 of whatever on third downs. They were outstanding in the first half. It was the second half that I thought that they weren't that good. MCGB says, Breeze proving why he's a top 3 quarterback in this league, dissecting the best D in the league. Yeah, he was outstanding in the second half of this game and gave his team a chance. Like I said, not once but twice he gave his team a chance to win, and the defense just couldn't make it stick. Buffalo Pregame says, my friend missed football today to take a train to New York City. He said concert is worth it. Damn. I mean, it still maybe will be for him. You know, maybe that concert was worth it, and I hope it was. But sometimes life is all about choices, you know, and he made a choice today. Hopefully that choice was the right one, because today was an epic day of football, for sure. Archangel says, it will be a defensive game, maybe in Philly, Lou. I think it will be. I think it will be. Similar to what we saw at the Eagles and the Falcons, I think it'll be a similar type game where the first to 20 wins, if anyone even makes it there. Buffalo Pregame says, do you think the Bills have a good OC now? Well, I'll have to discuss that at a later date and time. I forgot who you guys hired. I know you guys fired Rick Dennison. So I forgot who you hired. So can't really answer that right now. K. Michael says, even though NFL ratings were down this year, Vikes Saints game is why we love this game. Yeah, NFL ratings have been down this year for a number of reasons, but these playoffs have been exceptional. Vegeta's Dark Side says, you were right. Defense needs to do better. Still questioning O-line shuffle. Should have left it alone because of chemistry. It happens, but you got to win, and that's all that matters. Archangel says, shout out to Diggs. I love that guy, man. Hashtag epic. Mind Draw says, fact. The only Vikings loss at home came against the Lions. That's some crazy family business. And the only reason I thought they lost that game is because they lost their running back in that game. Dalvin Cook went down. And if I'm not mistaken, on the play that he got injured when he tore his ACL, he also fumbled the ball, which was a key play in the game as well. So I don't think they were going to lose that game if he didn't get injured. But that's no here nor there. It's family business for you. Daniel the GOAT says, I just can't believe Nick Foles and Case Keenum are the starting QBs for the top two teams in the NFC. I think it's you and a lot of other people that feel that way. Now, it's not like – it's one thing with Case Keenum. He's basically been their quarterback all year long. For Nicholas Foles, he just got here. Like, he inherited this. So, the respect isn't given to him like it is Case Keenum. Case Keenum earned his way to this spot. Nicholas Foles just showed up one day and was like, damn, okay, let's do this. You giving me the keys to this car? I just hope I don't wreck it. So we'll see what happens in the NFC Championship game for sure. Craig Smith says, Williams had one job. Come on, break it down. Preach, Craig. Preach. All that was required was that he do the most basic action being a defensive player requires. Make an arm tackle. Diggs caught it with his back turned in the air, no less. How do you screw that up? Couldn't have asked a better question and couldn't have said it better. Myself, Craig, I asked myself the same thing. I watched the play 3 times because I was in utter disbelief at how this man could miss. So I needed to go back and see for myself with my own 2 eyes on what the hell just happened. Maybe he tripped. Maybe he went for the ball, which you shouldn't have done in that situation because it didn't call for you going for the ball in that situation. All that was required, as my man Craig just so eloquently stated, is that you make the most basic action as a defensive player. Make a tackle. That's it. Stephon Diggs was preparing to get lit up. And when he caught it and felt no contact, he spun like, wait a minute, I'm still on my feet. And that's the stumble because he was like looking to try to get out of bounds. And then he realized, out of bounds? Leave this to Kyle Forbath? I gotta wash my face if I think that's a good idea. Let me go get this goddamn touchdown and stop playing. I don't know. That's a tough one. Vince Royal says, where do you think Drew Brees will go next year? Nowhere but home to the Saints. They'd be foolish to let him go. Foolish. If I were them, 2-year deal for Brees with, let's say 2 years, $50 million, 40 of it guaranteed. If I'm the Saints. But we'll see what happens. Silver V says, this is why we watch this game. Wow, Drew Brees got out-breezed by Case Keenum. Reby says, here you go again, dismissing us again. When are you going to learn? Our D is legit. Another defensive game coming up. Going to be a good one. You're right, Reby. You're absolutely right. And I'll learn a lesson if you do it again next week. I'll learn my lesson if you do it again next week. It should be fun next week for sure. Vegeta's Dark Side says Shermer and Keenum to AZ. You heard it here from this Vikings fan. I think that sounds about right. I think Pat Shermer would be a perfect fit. He, to me, is similar, almost like a clone of Bruce Arians in the way that he conducts himself, in the way that he thinks. He's an offensive guy. I think they've already got a defensive-minded guy there in James Betcher as a defensive coordinator. So I think they feel good about that. And you bring in an offensive guy, and I think you roll with maybe Case Keenum comes in and keep the party going. We'll see. KT, the Southern Gent, says, this has been a rough week. Lose my job. Saints lose. Damn, you lost your job, bro? Sorry to hear that, man. Marcus Williams had one job, make the damn tackle. I understand, man. Damn. Yeah, this was a rough week for you, man. Jesus. Travis B. If Case leads us to a championship, he'll get tagged. You can't win. This isn't the 80s. You don't win a Super Bowl or even Trent Dilfer. You don't win Super Bowls in this day and age and don't return. That's not happening. So, KT the Southern Gent says, great year by the Saints, young defense with room to improve. Drew is a free agent. He's got to be back. Right? Right? Like, you can't possibly take a huge step backwards you got this close. You got to bring Drew back next year just to see what happens, right? Right? Vegeta's Dark Side says Saints should be deadly next season, which is why everyone is talking about Breeze being back, because obviously they're not the same team if he's not back. Corey Fitterman says, man, these games were incredible today. A lot of action, and it was fun to watch. Absolutely. KT the Southern Gent says, Michael Thomas is a beast. Sorry I doubted you, bruh. Now we need to get him a sidekick. Absolutely. Even though Teddy Ballgame was playing some ball. Reby says, I feel bad for Breeze. I like him, and I was kind of rooting for him, but I didn't want to face him either. Man, I know I have about 30 more gray hairs next week. Hope I'm not bald. Hey, it's going to be rough. You're going to be on the edge of your seat, Reby. And with every play, you're going to be on pins and needles. It's nothing like playoff football. This is so much fun. And as a Redskins fan, I don't get to enjoy this enough. There's nothing like playoff football. I remember that one playoff game we had with the Packers. And it's bad when you go, I remember that one time in band camp, but I remember just how nervous. I was a wreck. And that wasn't but the wild card game. Okay? It's not like we were in the divisional round. You're going to be in the NFC Championship game with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I can't imagine how nervous you're going to be next week. KT the Southern Gent says, if you would have Saints GM, would you go quarterback, wide receiver, or pass rusher in the first round? If you don't believe in the quarterbacks on the roster, if you don't believe in we were just talking about the dude that Taysom Hill. If you don't believe in Taysom Hill, seems like that organization believes in Taysom Hill. If you don't believe in Taysom Hill, then you need to go quarterback. If you believe in Taysom Hill, then you go in a different direction. Whatever your second biggest need is, whatever you deem that to be, then that's what you do. I always would like to think that you can never have enough pass rushers. I think you need another edge rusher. So that would be always, but being that you lasted this long into the postseason, all the elite pass rushers, the Arden Keys, the Bradley Chubbs, all those guys will be long gone by the time you pick. So you'll probably be left, and receiver, this isn't a great draft for receiver. So you'll probably be left with some other position. Just at that point, best player available. Pretty much. Because where you're picking also, you're not going to get an elite quarterback. Really, it's possible that in this draft, 4 out of the top 5 quarterbacks, 4 of them could go in the first 7 picks. That's the state of the NFL right now. KT the Southern Gent says, Professor X versus Michael Thomas, a.k.a. Can't Guard Mike, was an epic matchup. I hope there's a sequel soon. Man, that was fun to watch, man. That was fun. And they were talking some cold, hard cash, boy. I loved it. After Michael Thomas made one catch, he got up and Xavier put his hand on his neck, and Mike was giving it to him. And the next play, they showed Michael Thomas going up to the line of scrimmage. He was like, yeah, come up here, come get some. Yeah, yeah. I loved it, man. You know, as a guy that loves watching receivers and corners, I loved every second of it, man. That was fun to watch. Vegeta's Dark Side says, as a Vikings fan, I'm used to that and feel for the Saints on that standpoint. This is a hard one to swallow. Yeah, you've been there. You understand. You can sympathize. Corey Fitterman says, Troy made a good point that I hope fellow Redskins fans heard when he said, you can have a good DC, but you got to have the horses. Oh, you probably meant QB. Or maybe you were saying defensive coordinator. Yeah. Either way, you got to have the players, which is what your point was, and you're right. Nolan Pratt says, I'm getting wasted tonight for Diggs. Skull. Hey, Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King. Birthday tomorrow. So you shouldn't have work. So celebrate. Stephen M. says, Vikings are on cloud 9 right now. They're going to ride this momentum to the bowl. We'll see. They got a tough Eagles team standing in the way. The Soundwave 92 says, let me tell you that the guy who tried to tackle Diggs on the last play, he will never live that down. You're probably right. You're probably right. But he's a rookie. I'm hoping that that's not the play that defines him. If he were a 9-year veteran, then yeah, maybe. You know, but he's a rookie. A lot of football left for him to play, hopefully. And so hopefully there are many more big plays for him to make in his career. And he had such a good rookie season. That's the bad part about what just happened. It's so unfortunate because everything he just did in what was a tremendous rookie season for Marcus Williams will be overshadowed by this one play. And that's not fair, but that's the society we live in. Black L.A.B says, no, we as Vikings fans know there's more business to handle. Hashtag bring it home. I hope that other Vikings fans acknowledge that and are living by that same sentiment. Reby says, disappointed in the Pittsburgh game. I expected more from them. I've been sold on that Jags D. Didn't see Blake B working it out. I think that D can get to Brady. I do too, Reby. I do too, which makes for a fascinating game, which just makes for a fascinating championship Sunday next weekend. Because if they get to Brady's ass, Brady's 40. Like, I watched him. He saw ghosts at the beginning of the Tennessee game. Did you see when Orakpo barely swiped at the ball? How Brady threw that one into the ground? Like, that was with a dude not even touching him. Imagine when these Jag defenders start tagging his ass. Man, they could be in some trouble. Mondraw says, I hate Sean Payton when he knows his players had a penalty or did something wrong. He still gets in the referees. A lot of coaches do that. He's not the only one that does that. But he's very extra with his. But a lot of coaches do that. They're fighting for their players. And so Vegeta's Dark Side says, from Favre's pants on the ground a week before to Peyton's dancing a week before. Hey, go ahead, man. I remember that. Hey, go ahead. I appreciate that, Robert. I really do, man. Thanks a lot. K. Michael says, what's the most devastating loss in the past 2 years? Falcons lost to the Pats or the Saints lost to the Vikings? The two are very comparable, but nothing compares to losing in the Super Bowl. This just gives you a chance to stay alive. The Saints will not get a chance to fight for the right to go to the Super Bowl. So that's tough, but the Falcons could taste the Super Bowl. The Falcons had champagne on ice in the locker room. They had all of the walls plastered with plastic. They had the shirts printed already. Atlanta Falcons, Super Bowl 51 champions. They had all of that set up. And then they lost. You can't undo that. This one stings because of the finality of it. It was so quick. It was like a painless death. That Falcons loss, that was like torture. That was like somebody waterboarding you and tying you to a chair and drilling a hole in your kneecap and then cutting off one of your fingers, and they still want to know, you still think you're going to win this game? Yes. All right. And okay, now I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm going to stick it into the tip of your finger that way. And then I'm going to do it to the next finger. And I'm going to do it to your next finger. And then I'm going to take that drill, right? That same drill. And I'm going to stick it in your other kneecap. And I'm going to go right through your kneecap and out the other side. That's what that Falcons Super Bowl loss was. It was torture. Because you had to watch 28-3 evaporate slowly. This was a bullet to the. This was 2 shots to the head. Bang, bang. Now you know he dead. It was quick. Like, damn. I thought we won, we lost. Fox was like, no, we gonna win. No, we gonna win. We gonna win. We gonna win. We gonna win. Damn. Damn. We about to lose. Now we gotta go to overtime and wait so we can still lose. Like, they saw it coming. So for me, the Falcons lost worse. Super Bowl, epic lead, epic choke. That's worse. This one, it just stings. Really bad. But this wasn't for the Super Bowl. Soundwave says, one of the greatest finishes I think we'll see in a long time. This game is why we love football. Man, this shit was heart-pounding throughout. Yeah, it was. And it's to think that I actually was going to use the analogy of the Rose Bowl. Because that game between the Jags and the Steelers, at the end of that breakdown, I said, hard to top that game. Well, we just did. That finish, which this was a good game. But that finish takes the cake. KT, the Southern Gent, says, Cam Jordan, Defensive Player of the Year. Now get him some help on the line. I think that's the direction that they should go in. Cam Jordan was outstanding this year. Both Cams, Cam Hayward and Cam Jordan, both with career sack numbers this year. I believe Cam Jordan did have a career year in terms of sacks. I know Cam Hayward did for the Steelers. Vegeta's Dark Side says, got to say crazy luck from Griffin deflection, back turn, interception, and, of course, the last second TD. Yeah, but luck is about right time, right place, and preparation, meeting each other. The opportunity presenting itself and being in the right place, right time. And Everson Griffin, if he doesn't put his hands up, I know about, if there are 300 defensive linemen in this league, I know about 295 of them wouldn't even put their hands up in that situation. Their backs turned. All right, I'm out of the play. I can't do anything. They don't even put their hands up in that situation. So you don't put your hands up, you can't deflect the football. So he made that situation. He made that break for his team. John Perez says, what do you make of Le'Veon Bell threatening to sit out the 28? That's what players do. Von Miller said the same thing. If he didn't get signed, if they franchised him, it's what players say. They say crazy stuff, but he's not sitting out a prime year of his career to prove a point. He wants a long-term deal, but he also wants to get paid. No one wants to throw away a year of earning potential. Black LB says, all the Eagle fans I know calling my phone hype is F. Yeah, I bet. That's going to be a big one, man. KT, the Southern Gent, says, thanks for the laugh with the slap on the wrist comment. I needed that. Hey, no doubt. That's what I'm here for, man. This is therapeutic. I've always told Redskins fans, after we lose a heartbreaking game or we get our ass whooped, this is always therapeutic for me. To come on and vent and just talk about it. To sit and stew is worse for me because then people that ain't even got nothing to do with the loss, they get it. You know, my girlfriend could come up to me after a game and she don't care nothing about that. And she say something crazy or just a regular comment and I'm all snappy because I'm on edge. When I come up here and I do this, it gives me a chance to just get the shit out. You know, and like I said, this has always been therapeutic for me. I need it. I need it. And plus, I'm a big football fan, but I need it. Reby says, no, the only team in our way is the Vikings. Come to the link. We will be waiting. LOL. Defense wins championships. This was a good game. That's going to be a defensive struggle if I've ever seen one. That's got defensive struggle 13-10 written all over it. Does that NFC Championship game next week. But we'll see. Let's see. We got any more comments? Yeah, we do. Got a ton more. Skipped over a bunch. Damn. Here we go. John Perez says, Steelers were sent to the pit of misery by the Jags. Dilly dilly. A lot of loudmouth mofos in that Steeler locker room predicting they would play the Pats next. Next time, keep your mouth shut. I ain't gonna lie. I was among the loudmouth mofos talking about for 3 months now, and I said it at least 1 million times, that it was a foregone conclusion. Pats, Steelers, AFC Championship game. Can we just get to it? Can we get all the formalities out of the way and just get to business of Pats, Steelers? Boy, was I wrong. Boy, did I put my foot in my mouth 1 million times. So I can't even be mad at them because I said the same goddamn thing. John Perez says, and play the damn game. Black L.A.B says, that missed field goal killed momentum. We should have went up 20-0 into the halftime break. Correct. That's facts. Get the ball back second half, score a TD, go up 27, but F it. Dilly dilly, a win is a win. That field goal that was missed, that was rough, but it wasn't a deal breaker. It wasn't a deal breaker. You still got the football to start the second half and didn't score. So it was just a rough second half for the defense. Anyway, you won, like you said, dilly dilly. To hell with it. Mondraw says, crazy how if last year you would have said the Saints defense was guilty of the loss, that would be the most obvious thing ever. Exactly. Yeah. KT the Southern Gent says, do you think Kenny Vaccaro comes to New Orleans next year, comes back? I don't know, because he's always been a starter. I don't know if in this league, though, there are a lot of teams that put 3 safeties on the field because of the way the league is evolving with, you know, these tight ends that can run and these 4 and 5 receiver sets and running backs being split out. You need that athletic safety that can cover and be, you know, a Swiss Army knife. I think Vaccaro fits that. I think it all depends on what the role they have for him in the future is and if he's willing to accept it. Because I don't know, with the 2 young guys and Von Bell and Marcus Williams back there, I wouldn't presume that he would start. So we'll see. And remember, he's been benched several times this year. I don't know if they even want him back in New Orleans. John Perez says, those Vikings are going to be playing a lot of duck, duck, goose, or a duck, duck, gray duck, as Minnesota fans like to call it, all week long. I love their celebrations. Them and the Steelers have been the 2 best teams. If there was a celebration Super Bowl, it'd be Steelers versus Vikings. They've been awesome all year long. And I love freeze tag today. That was awesome. Reby says, okay, she's talking to somebody else. JFT Network says, what the hell is going on in the playoffs? Mind blown. Y'all thought the Saints were going to win the Super Bowl. You know, my playoffs have been turned on their heads. I thought that it was Pittsburgh and New England on the AFC side of the bracket. I thought it was going to be Atlanta and Minnesota on the NFC side. I was almost 0-2 in my NFC predictions because it almost ended up being Philly and the Saints, which is crazy. So, wow. Buffalo pregame says, who do you say makes the Super Bowl? I say Pats Vikings now. You're going to have to wait and see. You're going to have to check out my predictions video for that. Soundwave says, drinking night in Minnesota tonight. By the way, do you think they give Keenum a contract extension? I don't think he's going anywhere, to be honest. But I'm not sold on the fact that the Vikings are sold as an organization on Case Keenum. So with that being said, it wouldn't shock me if he moved on wherever Pat Shurmur goes, because I think Pat Shurmur loves Case Keenum. I wouldn't be shocked if Keenum didn't follow him, because what you got to understand with quarterbacks, it's not the team that makes the quarterback, it's the play caller. Look at Matt Ryan and his success last year under Kyle Shanahan. Not the same Matt Ryan. Now, he was still good, and he's still a hell of a player. And no coordinator is going to make Matt Ryan a good quarterback. What a coordinator does is make you great, or as in the case of Matt Ryan, an MVP quarterback. In the case of Case Keenum, He's not elite. Matt Ryan's an elite quarterback. Case Keenum isn't an elite quarterback. So he needs a coordinator to make him a viable candidate to be a really good NFL quarterback. He found a guy that, same thing with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good NFL quarterback. He was borderline great with Sean McVay, which is why he wanted to follow Sean McVay to Los Angeles, which is why he wanted to go to San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. But both of those teams have quarterbacks now, so it's going to be interesting to see what Kirk Cousins does. Jacksonville looks, after watching the Jaguars, that's an interesting landing destination, even though I know they have said numerous times that they're not interested in going after anybody. Denver, you know, they could be in this spot next year with a quarterback. Who knows? We'll see. Klaus says, off topic, GMs kind of show you that you can find talent outside the first 3 rounds without tanking. You just have to find the right staff and to find them. Yeah, that's a fact. You don't have to have... Look, this is how the draft is set up. Your star players are supposed to come from the first 2 rounds. That's where stars are born, okay? You'll get lucky every now and again. You'll get a 3rd, 4th, 5th round gem. You know, those come every 4 or 5 years. You know, you get lucky every now and again. Stephon Diggs, what, 4th, 5th round pick? It happens. Adam Thielen, undrafted. It happens. But your stars come from the first 2 rounds. Those are the guys that are supposed to make up the nucleus of your football team. Look at Jacksonville. Ton of talent, most of it coming from the 1st or 2nd round. They've done a great job in free agency of going and getting guys. Those guys that they went out and got, big-time talents. But what you do is you draft guys that are supposed to be your impact players. Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox. If you're just going through the teams that made it to the postseason this year. Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox. Those are first-round picks. Impact players. Cam Jordan. I think he was a first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. If he wasn't, he was a second-round pick. Impact player. Those are the guys that they're going to win you football games. They're going to do their job and do it to the highest capabilities. Then you fill the roster out with a bunch of great role players in the 3rd, in the 4th, and the 5th round. Those are the guys that are going to make up the bulk of your roster. And if you're good at what you do, you'll find Alvin Kamara in the 3rd round. You'll find Marcus Williams in the 2nd round. You'll find Alex Anzalone in the 3rd round. That's what you do as a good football team. So, you don't have to have a bunch of first-round picks. The Saints did. You know, they had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, I think it was. If not 2, they definitely had 2 third-round picks. They had a ton of picks, and they made the most out of those picks. John Perez says, I honestly thought the Vikings were in trouble when Dalvin Cook went down. That's why they signed. I said it at least 2 or 3 times last week. Boy, that signing of all their signings last offseason have paid huge dividends for their team. But that signing quietly of Latavius Murray has been one of their strongest offseason acquisitions for this football team. Michael Thompson says, Saints, get your ass back on the field. And we got an extra point to kick. They sent anybody that they could. The field goal. They sent the punter that was injured, Thomas Morstead, back on the field. Man was holding his ribs. They said, hey, get your ass out there for that extra point, man. Jay Orion says, best playoff scene in a long time. And with that, approaching an hour and 30 minutes, so we can get out of here now. I'm going to leave with this one. Vegeta's Dark Side says, keep doubting Keenum, please. Hashtag superstition, LOL. Well, we're going to see, man. We are going to see. That is going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a Sunday next week, for sure. No doubts in my mind with those 2 teams squaring off in Philadelphia and then the Jags having the momentum that they have. It's going to make for some intriguing football, to say the least. But that's going to do it for me. Hell of a weekend of football. Hell of a Sunday of football. As we now have dwindled it down to 4. And then there were 4. Patriots, Jags. Your 1 seed hosting the 3 seed in the AFC. Patriots hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. 7 straight AFC Championship game appearances for the New England Patriots as they look to win their 6th Super Bowl championship under the Brady and Belichick administration. And on the NFC side, 2 teams that have never won the Super Bowl. In the Philadelphia Eagles, your number 1 seeded Philadelphia Eagles, here off of the stunning upset of the Atlanta Falcons with Nicholas Foles at quarterback, hosting the 2 seeded Minnesota Vikings with Case Keenum at quarterback. That's crazy, but those defenses are not a joke. And so, should make for great football. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting that subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. If you're out there and you're watching and you are capable of doing so, please donate to the Louie T Network. That is how you do so, via Patreon or PayPal. A shout out to my man, a longtime viewer, and all of you who have donated. I appreciate it. I can't tell you how much that means to me. I had a guy donate to me this past weekend, and he was a guy that was with me for a long, like one of my first subscribers, like one of the very first dudes I can remember. My man Flash, man. Big ups to my man Flash. If you out there watching, man, appreciate you. But in any event, wow, that was great. And if this is any indication of what we're to get next Sunday, Bart Scott can't wait. For all of you out there watching, I'm Louie T signing off. Joe, will you do the honors, please? Y'all have a good one.